Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining the Hawaii Language Roadmap Student Resource Interviews. Before I introduce our special guest today, I would like to take a moment to congratulate you all on earning your seal by literacy. This is a huge accomplishment, and we're hopeful that this interview series will help you in determining how to use your language skills in your steps moving forward. Now, I would like to introduce our special guest, Jayson Parba. Jayson teaches Filipino language and culture courses in the Department of Indo-Pacific Languages and Literature at UH Manoa. His primary focus in both research and teaching is social justice and education. He specializes in second and heritage language teaching of Filipino in the US context, particularly in Hawaii. Before coming to the UH in 2013, he taught English and literature courses in the Philippines at the high school and university levels. He also writes fiction in Cebuano, his native language. Again, for joining, and we're going to jump right into it. If you don't mind just sharing a little bit about your professional journey and telling us a little bit about what you do for work.
Right. So basically, as you said earlier, I was an English teacher in the Philippines before coming here to Hawaii. I did my PhD here, basically. So when I came here, it was for graduate studies. But when I was in the Philippines, I was teaching at the junior high and university levels with multilingual students. So I had students whose native or first language were Cebuano, Chinese, South Koreans, because I was teaching in an international school. But then I also taught at a university where the primary language of the students was Cebuano. And of course, when I came here, it's a different kind of environment because when I taught in the Philippines, I was teaching English and literature courses. But then when I came to Hawaii, I have to teach Filipino, because Filipino is also my second language. It's interesting because I have been teaching my second languages, both Tagalog-based Filipino and English at the university level. So I have that kind of experience. And right now I'm just teaching the upper division Filipino courses, language courses at the University of Hawaii. I also teach literature and culture courses, upper division levels. So that's basically my experience, right?
Great, thank you. Well, I think you have a lot of great experience that I think the students are really going to be able to learn from. Kind of in talking about as your role as a professor, can you maybe talk a little bit about what opportunities are available for students to use their Filipino language skills?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So basically at the University of Hawaii, we have a minor in Filipino and also Ilocano, and we also have a major. So students who come to us, they usually study for language requirements, but at the same time, we have students who eventually move on and decide to minor or major in Filipino. And it's because of the opportunities that are found here in Hawaii, right? So for instance, we have students who are major in nursing and then also double majoring in Filipino, or if not social work and major in Filipino. Others would be biology in Filipino. There's a combination of the more common, or I would say more popular majors and then Filipino. And it's because they're aware of the opportunities here in Hawaii, considering the fact that Hawaii is very multilingual, and they know that they will eventually interact with people from the Philippines or who speak Ilocano or Filipino. Some of my students would say, for instance, earlier somebody asked me for a recommendation letter as applying for the College of Nursing, and he said, I'll be working with Filipino patients, and I'll also be working with speakers of Filipino and Ilocano here in Hawaii. So my multilingual abilities or skills will be very helpful when I go out there. And there are also other opportunities, basically, when, like for instance, translation work, interpretation are also available here. So I think those are some of the things that I would say are good opportunities for students who are, who have the skills to speak and who are proficient in Filipino. Yeah.
Awesome. So you see students kind of pairing the Filipino minor with a major that they're already taking to make them stronger, like work candidates.
Right, right. We have many. In fact, based on experience in recent years, our number of minors and majors have been increasing. And it's because I think it has something to do with the policies also changing at the state level, because in Hawaii, this is what we're doing right now, right? Like the seal of biliteracy and pushing for policies that actually nourish or respect and support the multilingual skills of our students. This effort is actually changing the mindset of our students, because before, a lot of Filipinos, there was a generation of Filipinos who basically were scared to show their multilingual abilities, or they have to suppress that because of some kind of bullying that they experienced at school for having an accent. So they had to hide their multilingualism. But recently, that kind of experience changed because of like changes in policy at the state level, at the university level. Different institutions, like even high schools now, we are offering Filipino and Ilocano in some high schools here in Hawaii. And I think these efforts are really, really positive. And I think they're encouraging a lot of like Filipino speakers to go out and, like to be proud of their heritage as well. So I think, yeah, we're, I think, doing great things here in Hawaii.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it's less about assimilation and more about
Hmm.
value in the multicultural and multilingual environment of Hawaii. Awesome.
Definitely.
Next question I wanted to ask is, for the program you're working with, how do you think it prepares students for using their language skills in the workforce and or
Right.
looking for jobs?
Right. So basically, at the University of Hawaii, we offer different courses from the beginning level until the advanced level. So students have enough opportunities of exposure basically to the language. And we also develop like their skills in order to communicate not just about what was happening at home, but we build their skills so that they're able to communicate with what's going on outside, like the community and the world. So at UH Manoa in the Filipino program, we make sure that our students can create with the language. Like we develop that. At the same time, they should be able to describe things outside, like for instance, narration about what's going on in the community or give details. Like we build their skills so that it's not just even language skills. We also build their social linguistic skills or interpersonal skills. Those are the things that we do. Aside from that, of course, we build their skills to analyze text or read text in Filipino, which are which are found at the advanced levels.
Mm.
So we have seen also an increase of students coming from the 100 level going to the 300 and 400 level because I think we have been modifying our curriculum to make sure that our students who are most of the time our students would come in just for the language requirements, so they would finish at the 202 level. But recently they have changed that because our curriculum have been more respectful about the learning experiences of our students here in Hawaii. So our curriculum does not just focus on like what is happening in the Philippines, like the nationalist curriculum, but also respecting the experiences of students who grew up in the diaspora, like those who were born here and got raised here in Hawaii. Those are very important experiences that should be included in the curriculum. So the target community now includes the Filipino community in Hawaii, not just the Filipinos in the Philippines. So we've been changing a lot. We have been implementing curricular changes and also pedagogical, sound pedagogical responses to these realities. So yeah, so those are some of the things that I can share about what we're doing and how do we prepare them to make sure that they're able to use the language in the community.
That's awesome. I think that change really surmises how the program is preparing students, recognizing like there is a market here in Hawaii and
Mm-hmm.
incorporating kind of the language focus and the local cultural focus to
Mm-hmm.
best prepare them. Out of
Right.
curiosity, what advice would you have for students helping to seeking language skills, seeking a job using their language skills, like, and
Mm-hmm.
how to help them leverage using their language skills, like in talking about
Right.
job application or interview?
Right. I think the first step that they should do is do not be afraid to actually write it down in their CV, right? So a lot of students, they think that their multilingual or bilingual abilities are not they do not count, but now is the time. Now is actually the perfect time to make sure, or you highlight that, right? You have to highlight that on your CV that you're actually able to speak the language or you're proficient at a certain level in Ilocano or Filipino, because those are resources that the state of Hawaii have already been in recent years supporting, right? And we should not be afraid to highlight those skills in our CV. So again, there are many opportunities out there for speakers of Filipino, even Cebuano for my native language. I also put it on my CV because there are now like a lot of work that involves translation, interpretation, and other languages. And it's something to do with the efforts of the state to provide access, right? Like medical access for minority groups, or if not services, right? So I have students, for instance, who are working in social work, and they need somebody who speaks minority language, let's say Cebuano for translation. Even for the Department of Education, they have been requesting for translation work, for instance, and it's because they want to make sure that students who come from minority groups or heritage language families, right, they have access, the parents can understand what's on the text or what's on the brochure, for instance. So again, I encourage the students not to be scared to demonstrate or put their skills on their CV, highlight those strengths on your CV when you apply for a job or when you seek for interviews. Yeah. So yeah, there will be opportunities for you. So do not hide your multilingual skills.
Awesome, thank you. Do you have any success stories that come to mind of maybe some of your recent students that have put like their language skills on a CV and now were able to benefit from that in like the job application process?
Definitely. Like for instance, I remember, again, I have a former student who is currently a nurse, and in his application, he really highlighted that even his immigrant story, like, he came to the Philippines and he struggled with English. But then when he came here, and he still retained his language, right? He is still proficient in the language, and he highlighted his multilingual skills. And he said that he'll be dealing with Filipino patients or clients in the hospital. And that will be very important because, especially because there are patients sometimes who are afraid to talk to nurses who may not be able to understand exactly how they feel or what they feel inside their body or their ailments, for instance. And it's similar to my experience as well. Like sometimes it's hard for me when I first came here, like to talk to a doctor. Oh my God, how do I describe my sickness or how I felt during that time? And it's similar experience to a lot of immigrants here in Hawaii. There's many of them, majority Filipinos, right? So when you have a nurse who is actually bilingual or multilingual and can talk to the patients would feel comfortable to share exactly how they felt or what their sickness to the nurse. And that student actually got tired, of course. He said like he was very happy about majoring in Filipino. He was a double major. At the same time, he's now applying for an advanced degree. He's planning to go back to a grad school. And again, he requested me for a recommendation letter, and I saw his recommendation letter. I mean the application, and again he highlighted his multilingual skills and working with a diverse group of patients in Hawaii. And again, he mentions his like ability to speak in both Ilocano and Filipino. So I guess he's one of those students who really succeeded and made sure that he's proud, and at the same time he leveraged on his linguistic resources or his language resources, his abilities to speak in Filipino and Ilocano. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And then last question I have is, why do you think having a multilingual workforce is important for Hawaii and the greater US? I think you touched on it
Mm-hmm.
a little, but just curious.
Right. Yeah. So besides representation, which is of course very important, I know that many of our students here, for instance, in the Hawaii DOE, based on experience, of course, my students would share with me that most of their teachers in grade school or high school were non-Filipinos. Like it was hard for them because they didn't have anybody to look up to, like of basically the same background or experiences. That's one representation, but more importantly, I guess it has access is very important. Um, because if English continues to dominate as the main language in Hawaii, I feel like we are leaving out some of the minority groups who are actually continually coming in to Hawaii. Um, Access is very important, especially for people who need us help in getting medical services or if not, like other services provided by the state of Hawaii. I think it's also a very enriching experience for people to learn from each other. And I think in Hawaii, there is room for everybody. I think our state should recognize that the languages that the people who come here bring with them are resources that should be leveraged in order to, make progress in terms of like education, in terms of like policies at the state level or national level. Um, in order for us to also just work together harmoniously, I think that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. And I definitely echo, and it is really important. And hopefully these are steps for the graduates to kind of enter into the workforce and increase that
Hmm.
representation.
Right,
Are there
right.
any last comments or kind of words of advice that you would want to share with the graduates?
All right. So to the graduates of the Seal of Biliteracy, thank you and congratulations again. Thank you so much for being proud of your Filipino heritage, but and also congratulations for being proud and graduating. I'm sorry, I'm kind of like nervous, but congratulations, and I'm so happy that you guys are doing it, you know, like being proud of your Filipino heritage. I hope that you guys will continue to learn Filipino or speak the language and teach it in your community so that more and more generations of Filipinos in Hawaii continue to use Filipino or Ilocano or Cebuano, and so that our languages will continue to prosper and be used more widely in the state of Hawaii. So again, congratulations and thank you.
Awesome. And hopefully in the future, you'll see some of the SEAL Biliteracy graduates come into the program and using their language.
Right.
We can
In
hope.
fact, some of them have already been admitted into the university, and they have taken the placement test for the Filipino program. So I hope to see you, more of you soon to the here at the University of Hawaii and also in the Filipino program.